Good morning, class 11. Let's start. We are going to discuss about the structure of water. Now, in water, the oxygen atom is sp3 hybridized and its shape is bent or angular. Due to sp3 hybridization of oxygen atom, its expected bond angle is 109.5 degree. But due to lone pair repulsion and lone pair bond pair repulsion, its bond angle contracts to 104 degree. Okay, so this is basically the structure of water. Now, in the previous class, we have already said that in water molecule there is intermolecular hydrogen bond formation. Now, basically, water molecules undergoes associations due to intermolecular hydrogen bond. In this particular arrangement, each oxygen atom is tetrahedrally surrounded by 4 hydrogen atoms. 2 hydrogen atoms by covalent bond and 2 hydrogen atoms by hydrogen bonds, like this one. Oxygen atom is tetrahedrally surrounded. This 2 hydrogen by hydrogen bonds, these are hydrogen bonds, and this 2 hydrogen by covalent bonds. Okay. Now, experimental studies have shown that liquid water consists of, both liquid water and ice consist of aggregates of number of water molecules which are held together by hydrogen bonds. Now, in case of ice, the structure is somewhat open kind of structure due to the presence of number of vacant spaces. Now, due to the presence of the vacant spaces, the density of ice is lesser. When ice melts, some of the hydrogen bonds are broken and water molecules enter into those vacant spaces. As a result of which, the structure of water molecule, the structure of liquid water will be containing lesser vacant spaces. As a result, the density of water will be much more compared to the density of the ice. That's why we know that ice floats on water, right? Next, we move to the physical properties of water. Now, we already know that water molecules undergoes association due to the formation of intermolecular hydrogen bonds, due to which it has abnormal boiling points. Next, due to polar nature of water, polar nature depends on the electronegativity difference of the bonds. We know that oxygen is highly electronegative and hydrogen is electropositive element. So, its electronegativity difference is very high. That's why this OH bond is highly polar, due to which water has a net dipole moment of how much? 1.84 dBi. Next, water dissolves most of the solutes. That's why it acts as a universal solvent. Now, the inorganic substances which are ionic in nature, they readily dissolve in water. Water even dissolves most of the organic substances also, like urea, alcohols, carbohydrates, etc. due to the formation of intermolecular hydrogen bonds. Okay, next we move to the chemical properties. First point, water molecule is highly stable, right? That means readily it does not dissociate into its corresponding elements. Now, why is it so stable? Due to high negative enthalpy of formation. Okay, but on electrolysis of water in presence of small amount of acid to it, it dissociates or it breaks down to its constituent elements, that is hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. Okay, here traces of acid is added and we usually prefer dilute sulfuric acid because of its non-volatile nature. Then electricity or electrolysis is done. Hydrogen gas evolved at your cathode and oxygen gas is liberated at anode. Okay. Next, amphotenic nature of water. Now, water, according to Bronsted-Lowry theory, it can act both as an acid and a basic solvent. Now, according to Bronsted-Lowry concept, acids are proton donors and bases are proton acceptors. Water in presence of HCl will be acting as a base because HCl is a strong acid. HCl is an acid. So, HCl will be donating proton to water. So, we are going to get H3O positive, Cl negative. On the other hand, if water reacts with ammonia, Then ammonia, we know it's a base, and in presence of ammonia, water will be acting as an acid solvent, right? So right now ammonia will be accepting the proton, right? So this explains the amphoteric behavior of water. Next, oxidizing and reducing agent. Water has the capacity to act both as oxidizing and reducing agent. When water reacts with sodium or potassium, this reaction we already know, to form sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. This particular reaction is under oxidizing nature of water. Okay, because water itself gets reduced to hydrogen. Next is the reducing reaction, means the reaction in which water acts as a reducing agent. When it reacts with fluorine. Okay, in this particular reaction, water acts as a reducing agent. Why? Because itself it gets oxidized to oxygen. So these are the following reactions in which water can act both as an oxidizing and reducing agent. Next is hydrolysis reaction. Water has a strong solvating power due to high dielectric constant. So readily it hydrolyzes a wide range of compounds. Like it hydrolyzes metallic oxides, calcium hydroxide is formed. Then it hydrolyzes non-metallic oxides like sulfur dioxide to form corresponding acid. It hydrolyzes halides of metalloids. Okay. Next, it hydrolyzes magnesium nitride. Magnesium nitride to magnesium hydroxide and ammonia. So this one will be 3, 2, 6. One more. It also hydrolyzes aluminium carbide to form aluminium hydroxide plus methane gas. 4, here 3, this one. Okay, so these are the following equations under hydrolysis property of water. Last we come to hydration. Water, due to the presence of lone pair electron on oxygen atom, it acts as a Lewis base and it coordinates with a Lewis acid to form Lewis acid base adduct. Lewis acid means any substances or any ions which contains vacant orbitals. Okay, so this is my Lewis acid and this is water. Water is a Lewis base due to the presence of lone pair of electrons. So when they form bond, we get complexes. Okay, and those complexes are known as Lewis acid base adducts. So here this kind of structure is formed. Basically coordinate bond is formed. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and more. Overall charge will be 2 positive. Either this one or I can write like this, NiH2O whole 6. Overall 2 positive. Okay, so that's it, class 11. Thank you.